Food has a past to create financial instability, and we just don't talk about the connection enough. And that ends today. I'm April, the kitchen strategist. Welcome to the Stop Eating Your Money series, where I show you how I used my kitchen to rebuild my credit, build an emergency fund, and buy a house. But before we can go any further into the 4 different ways I'm going to show you how to determine what your food budget should realistically be, we have to get this big bad B word out the way. You need a budget. There is no way around it. It is a non-negotiable. You can't figure out how to save if you don't know what you're spending. So your budget really and truly is your baseline. And if the word budget is my way of cursing you out, then I'm so sorry. Just know that I am doing it with love, because the only way we can get around figuring this whole food situation out is if we establish a budget. Now, I mentioned there are 4 different ways we can go about doing this. I'm going to share with you which one was the way that I did it back in 2010 when I was trying to figure my life out and had nowhere to start with determining how much I should eat. But I'm going to save that for the 4th one. The very first one that I would recommend is what my financial advisor at the time recommended, and I said, absolutely not. Clearly, I had an issue, right? It is tracking every single thing that you eat as far as how much you spend on it for the next 30 days. Now, it can be a pain. I understand that, but it's also very accurate because it's a true indicator of your behavioral patterns and what it is that you're spending. So this is what you would do. Anytime you go grocery shopping, go out to eat, do an Instacart order, go out to brunch with the girls, anytime you are making a coffee run or anything that requires money that's associated with food, save the receipt. On the top of the receipt, you write what the activity is or what the activity was. At the end of the 30 days, you tally up how much money you spent on food, and that's probably a pretty general indicator of what your food budget should be. We start from there and then we try to cut back. The second way you can go about doing this, which I'm not going to lie, is likely the hardest way that you probably don't want to do because I don't want to do it. It is going through your bank statements and highlighting everywhere where you've spent food, regardless of where you went or whatever it was for. Do the same thing from from tip 1. And that is right where you were, what you were doing. If it was groceries, if it was a dinner, it was a date night, write that down. Then you tally up those numbers. And that is a really good indication of what your baseline food budget should be. Why is it a good indication? Because it's what you've actually spent. The only thing that makes this one really hard is if you have more than one debit card you're using, or if you have more than one credit card you're using. That's only if you're not using a budgeting app. We'll come to that one in a second. So that's one way you can go about doing it. By the way, if you already know what your food budget is, then let me know in the comments what your family size is and roughly how much you typically spend on food every month. I would definitely like to know. The third one would be your budgeting app. Now, I understand that not everyone uses a budgeting app because back in 2010, I wasn't using one. And throughout the years, I used one every now and then, but it was 2020 where I really took it serious and I buckled down and was like, okay, I'm going to use a budgeting app. If you have a budgeting app already, then you can likely filter through your budgeting app. For instance, I use YNAB right now. I am considering changing. So if you have a budgeting app that you're currently using that you absolutely swear by, let me know so that I can make the consideration. But I say all that to say, YNAB is very robust. It's a learning curve. But I can go and I can click on my food category and I can see exactly how much I spent on food yesterday, last month, last year, 5 years ago. So if you already using a budgeting app and you're trying to get a grip on how much it is that you're eating so you can set your baseline, then use your budgeting app. That is definitely something that you want to leverage. Now, I told you that I would tell you which method I used when I had no clue how to set a budget. And if you'll just indulge me for a second, I'm going to share a quick story with you. It was in 2010 where I finally was like, I need to get my life together. I was sitting in church, I had heard a sermon, and I actually felt convicted about how I was managing my money. So I sought a financial advisor. And I thought I was just going to be able to pass all of my stuff over to him and he was going to tell me what I should be spending and what I shouldn't be spending and all will be great and I'd be a millionaire in a few years. That's not quite how it went. He said, I can help you figure this out, but I need to know how much money you spend on food every month. And I looked at him like, what? Like, you're supposed to tell me that. He said, absolutely not. I cannot tell you how much you should be spending on food every month. You have to let me know. He recommended that I track everything for 30 days. I didn't really want to do that from a food perspective. So what I did was I hopped out on over to Google and I typed in how much money should I be spending on a family size of, and at the time I typed in that I had a family size of 4. So up came this USDA food chart on how much it recommends that you spend on groceries for your family size. It's 3 different tiers to this chart. And so I looked at it. The first one was a low tier, the other one was a moderate tier, and then the end was liberal. Now, when I looked at it on the lower tier, I was like, man, we're going to be eating like peasants if we eat on the lower end. But on the liberal side, I was like, that's a bit excessive. That's a lot of money to be spending on food. We won't be doing that. So I went right in the middle with the moderate one. That officially became my baseline for how much I was going to spend on groceries every single month. Now that has changed over the years because of course now I leverage a budgeting app. But I just wanted to share that with you so that you can go ahead and figure out what your baseline is, because I can teach you all the things about how to save money in the kitchen. And so you can redirect those funds to a high yield savings account so that you can start building an emergency fund and have a little bit of more financial stability and you can sleep good at night. But I can't do any of that if you don't at least have a budget. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to do so, and I will see you in the next video.